Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, WIZE.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, WIZE, and I have a very special guest on with me today. She was actually a guest with me on a show earlier this week, and she was awesome. Like her response, and when she was telling her story, anyone who lives in the Virgin Islands and can work from home and enjoy that beautiful place, I want to know their story. So I had to invite her on the show. Welcome to the show, Amy Rose Herrick. Hey, Amy.
Hey, it's good to be here. And for those of you who are watching the video version of this, I'm stateside. I'm at somebody's house, so I can't give you one of my pretty backdrops. But yeah, I live on St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. Have for a little over a decade. It'll be 11 years in January.
Wow.
Yeah.
What made you move to the Virgin Islands?
Well, a quick story. I lived in the Midwest all my life, primarily in the Topeka, Kansas area. Everybody has their own faith walk. And we had something happen in church where my husband and I, the pastor, had a word of knowledge, which is something that we had never experienced before, or somebody speaks into your life or speaks over you, something that will be happening in the future. And I kind of looked at him and I said, wow, we're going to be living somewhere with a beach by the end of the year. Now, I mentioned that I lived in the middle of the U.S., about as far away from a beach, except maybe down at the local lake or my pond, that you could be. So that sounded pretty preposterous. And what amounted to a complete life do-over. Things started kicking into motions, and there were several different things that transpired very, very quickly. The fast forward a little bit to the end. By the end of the year, we had sold or given away absolutely everything. We sold a house that hadn't even been put up for sale. Many, many things fell in place, and we ended up moving to St. Croix in the Caribbean, which is a little tiny island, and we had never stepped foot on that island. We had no family, no friends, no W-2 jobs, anything like that to go to. We took our 4 children. We did take our van because we needed that for the size of our family, the dog, and about 5 pallets of things, including my portable office. And we left everything behind and started over. We did the life do-over that a lot of people talk about. And 11 years later, it's been a wonderful thing for us. But many people, when we started saying, you know what? We know where we're going and what we're going to do. And no, we did not go into ministry. Some people have asked me that. That's not what we did. And it's like, you really did that. And I was like, yeah, we really did. It was pretty crazy. But for us, it worked out. And I can tell you that for many, many years, I had hand painted up on a bathroom wall a quote that is by Mark Twain, where 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than the ones you did. Throw off the bow lines, sail away from the safe harbor, explore, dream, discover. And I had a vision in my mind, and I painted a boat on a beach, and I put it up there, and I looked at it for a long time. After all of these things went in place or started happening, my husband and I decided, whether you hang on to a house, let it go. We decided to let it all go because we thought that we would never regret giving a life do-over a try, but we'd always regret never trying. And the funny thing happened is after we were on island and I was looking at some stuff, so many amazing things, I looked one day and we were watching Shawshank Redemption, which was a movie we enjoyed. That last beach scene where the guy is there and he's walking along, that happens to be on Sandy Point, that is there on St. Croix, and he's got a boat there on the beach. That's kind of where it was in the picture I painted on the wall years before. And I had no idea that was something that was coming later. So how's that for a little snapshot just to get you
But
started?
that's sort of kind of like your vision board. That's like the beginning of your vision board. You put it up there, you put it out there, and and wow,
Kind of
to
like,
me that's no. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, it's okay. We used to go to Mexico. We really enjoyed Cozumel. We would go back there and we would do some vacations. We had done some cruises, been to the Bahamas. We were on Margarita Island off the coast of Venezuela. So there have been different places in the Caribbean that we had been. It
Yeah.
just had never been to the island that we ended up living on.
Yeah.
And we joked about someday, we're going to retire and we're going to live on the beach, maybe in Mexico. And even if I have to have a sand floor in my little beach shack, this is what we're going to do. I never envisioned that I wasn't going to wait until retirement and I would take our kids with us and we would go when it was probably the most ridiculous time. And we went. And I've met many other people who have done life do-overs, different circumstances. But I've met people who came on vacation with 2 suitcases and they never went home.
And you hear that story quite a few
Yeah.
times where people go somewhere
Mhm.
and they're like, yeah, I'm not going back home. I'm staying. And it's like you really that's stepping out of your comfort zone. That's really stepping way out of your zone.
Oh,
Me,
yeah.
I just had to press record to step out of my comfort zone when
Mhm.
I had been starting my path on my podcast and everything. It was me just doubting myself, just putting self doubt. Like, who would want to listen to me? Why would anybody want to be on my show? And one day, being furloughed from work, being home,
Mhm.
I was like, you know what? Record. And we recorded 5 minutes of me and my nephew talking.
Mhm.
I didn't have none of the setup that I have now. It was me talking to him on the phone into the mic and him into the mic
Yeah.
as well. And he was like, "Oh man, I don't want to. We need to record it all over again." I'm like, "No, I want people to see where we've started at to where we're
Mhm.
at now, and we've come a long way. Studio equip. I've improved
Yeah.
by getting a better mic, getting a better mixer, a much better camera, and it's because I've wanted to invest in myself and really just do something that I have. This isn't something I didn't think about I was gonna be a sportscaster or I don't come from that field. I'm not in the entertainment field. Well, I'm sort of am. I'm a table games dealer, but I had when podcasting started becoming a thing, I had wanted to do a sports
Mhm.
podcast with a friend because I'm a big sports fan and all this, and we just couldn't align. We just couldn't get together and record. So one day
Mhm.
it's just me and my nephew, and I press record, it just and instead of talking about sports, we just spoke about life. We just spoke about what was going on in life at the moment and all the craziness with the pandemic and the elections and it was just a crazy time.
Very
And
crazy. And
yeah, yeah. No, go ahead.
and you've hit on something that I kind of want to circle back to. So I had to push that record button. For a lot, wise for you and for a lot of people that are listening, you know, fear is a liar. And that little voice that talks in the back of you and says, "Oh, nobody's going to listen to you. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not handsome enough. You're not tall enough. You're not skinny enough." Whatever it is that you are not enough, because it's always that you're not enough of something. I'm going to tell you right now, fear is a liar. And the reason I know that it's a liar is because you are here and you are doing it. And when you go back and you look at how many successes that you've had, and some of them are a little bit of a time, you are absolutely living proof that fear is a liar, because look at how many people you have been able to impact. Look at the messages you've been able to send out. Look at the joy and the building up. And yeah, fear was going to keep you from pushing that button the first time. But fear is a liar, because look at where you are now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be a liar, because you couldn't be here doing this if fear was right.
No, you're absolutely right. And I've grown so much in podcasting. I've learned so much. Added I've added skills that I didn't necessarily have prior to podcasting. I
Mhm.
wasn't a audio editor. I wasn't a video editor. All these things, all these skills I picked up and taught myself from podcasting, because I had to edit my own podcast. I had to edit my own videos. I had to do all these myself. And I learned, but it was so much fun learning that I still continuously learn every day. Every day I'm on YouTube watching a video on how I can improve a camera angle, or how do I improve a
Mhm.
sound. But that's me wanting to grow and develop my podcast and something that I love to do.
Oh, and see, the world changed for all of us for lots of different reasons. I really enjoyed speaking and working with live audiences and dealing with financial topics. And that goes along with my company, The Secret Profits, which is, a different thing that I'm building out. But I get it. For those of you who decide to take on a new endeavor, there's a learning curve. But again, you can do it. And in my world, when I was starting to put together, courses online, and do I want to be a podcast guest and all this, I had to learn words and programs and phrases that meant nothing to me. And for some of you, you may laugh or smile, Zapier, integration, Kartra, Kajabi, Thinkific, video editing. What is a sizzle reel? Lead in, offer, a high ticket offer. There's every time you learn something, there's a whole new realm, and it doesn't matter whether you're learning podcasting or you're learning to play basketball. Pick anything. There's going to be a learning curve, but you always have something that you've already done that you can build on it. And for some of you who say, well, I don't know that I'm very good at very much, if I got you to, I would say, take your computer out or your phone and start typing all the things you can do. And this can be everything from, I can type, I can do an Excel spreadsheet, I can edit videos, I know how to mow the lawn, I can fix a leaky toilet, I can it is amazing the wide variety most of us can do, and you take for granted. But all of those skills, WIZE, that you had before, and desires, and the willingness to learn, and knowing how to learn, just keep building on to what you're doing now. And it's just amazing to me how far most of us can grow if you're teachable. And you mentioned a good point where, you did some videos and things, and when you need to learn something, thank you to all of us out there that do videos to teach other people how to do something. And, you're giving them a hand up. And if we give each other a hand up, we can lift everybody up together. And I just don't believe in stepping on people and trampling them, trying to be a little higher. No, take the hand up road. And look what it's done. You've got people sewed into you, WIZE, that you may never, but each one of those videos made a difference.
Yeah, no. I support, like, I'm first one to acknowledge I don't know everything, but I will learn. I will seek the information to improve, to definitely learn. And if I've done different, like, done research, I've found
Mhm.
what programs I like to use to do my audio. I've done the research and found the programs that I want to use, that I know that I'm capable to use it. That, because I'm not a tech guy. That's not me. But I'm still learning. I'm still learning, because this is the realm I've decided that I want to enter.
Mhm.
So, hey, let me just dive right in and just keep doing it, and just. But you with you finances, that's another thing. It's just crazy, because when I started about my podcast, it was me talking about work and rants and whatever, and I didn't really have a good time. It wasn't until I started really bringing on guests that talked about finances and talked about developing skills and growing and all that. Those are the shows that I really enjoyed the most because
Mhm.
I'm here in PA. I was licensed to sell life insurance, and I know
Mhm.
the benefits of having life insurance and investing into your future. And I wish I had known this when I was in my early 20s. But
Mhm.
hey, I'm 40 something now, and it's never too late to start.
No.
And so that's something I felt like this younger generation now. I'm seeing that they're really they're really into investments. They're really into the cryptocurrencies and all these other things.
Mhm.
Where at that age, I was oblivious to all that stuff. I didn't. That's not something we were taught.
Yeah, me too. And that's another thing we have in common. I've been a licensed life insurance agent since 1991. When you talk about finances, because I'm specializing in working with business owners at this point. I still work with some individuals, but I managed investment portfolios for 25 years. I sold that practice in 2016. I've been in the corporate world. I'm also a tax preparer, so I'm a tax pro. You can't do the estate and the business planning and not be able to have all these different components to allow you to be a good advisor and also to make the pieces work. And in working with that, I would tend to agree. And I find, at least in my, and I will tell you guys, it could be a soapbox for me. I don't think most people have enough life insurance. And it's one of the cheapest ways to create and maintain wealth in a family that exists. When they talk about pennies on the dollar or even a dollar, it's absolutely true. I really find that a lot of business owners do not have funded buy-sell agreements or disability agreements where those type of products, and to me, it's a product, it's a tool. We don't have enough. And for those of you who are listening who have families, let's just throw this out if you'd let me. This is a real quick method. I usually would take, and let's say a person is making 50,000 a year, because folks, it's just a number. And I like to take that times 20. Well, 50,000 times 20 would be $1 million. And that's the minimum amount of life insurance that I would want to put on this individual. And a lot of people would go, whoa, you remember that voice? I'm not worth $1 million. Well, you are too. Because if I took that $1 million and I invested it and I just averaged 5%, maybe you'll get less, maybe you'll get more. All that $1 million does is replaces your $50,000 salary without touching principal, because as their family has to have raises, they will start to invade that principal over time. Now, if I replace your wages, that doesn't mean I replace what you do. So if you are a stay-home parent, we're going to have to pay someone to come in and do what you do. If you were in the workforce, there were company benefits. If you mowed the lawn, you fix things, I don't care what you do. You bring a value to the family that is going to have to be replaced, not just your wages. And sometimes that has been a real eye opener for a lot of people that I've worked with, is what your value is. And when you start looking at it a little different way, if you're earning, $50,000 a year and I can keep you working for the next 20 years, you're worth $1 million, but you're worth probably double that, because every year you would normally get a raise or your skills would increase. So you would get, more responsibility. If you look back on your Social Security record, most people will double their wages about every 10 years. And I think people dramatically undervalue what your value is just getting up and going to work, into whether you're single, or you have a family. And then that kind of leads into the conversation about most people don't insure or undersure what I think is their greatest asset, which I mentioned is your ability to get up and go to work. Those who have had an illness or an accident and you're not able to earn an income, you realize how precarious your standard of living is. And that's why disability insurance, comes into play, just to maintain what you have, because it can be devastating. But I told you in advance, that's a little soapbox I have, because, I believe in taking care of people and families. And if you did some life insurance, I'm just going to tell you folks, when bad things happen, whether it's health wise or if it is a death that occurs, the biggest checks come from insurance companies. Your family and friends may love you, but the checks that are the biggest usually come from insurance companies. And I've been asked many times, Amy, what is the best kind of insurance to buy? And I think that is really a very insightful question, because the person wants to know. So WIZE, if you ask me, Amy, what is the best kind of insurance to buy? And I'm going to tell you, well, it's really the best kind to own. And that's the kind that's in force the day you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because you'll have people who say it's universal or whole or term, and sometimes it's. I'm an advocate for it. My first wife passed away. Mm-hmm. She had life insurance. It helped pay for her services. It also helped set up her kids with some funds mm-hmm. when they got to a certain age. So I know what it is to be affected when you lose your spouse, and that income is gone. It's mm-hmm. devastating. And the money, look, it helped us out. It did a lot for us, but of course, it's never going to replace her.
No, but it makes it easier for those who are behind. And let me kind of throw out something else that I've had conversations with, some homeschool families. We're just going to throw it out there. We've homeschooled ourselves at different times. And, what if I have a homeschooling family and, we'll say that dad, I'm just going to pull it dad. It could be either way, but dad goes to work, grades it. Mom is doing the homeschooling, is taking care of the kids. Well, in most cases, I will recommend that we insure mom for just as much as we insure dad. Because if we lose mom and we have a family that is used to a certain lifestyle, which involves, having a stay-home parent, homeschooling, sometimes they'll have a larger family too. I want dad to have the option of whether dad wants to continue to go to work and to buy services to help take care of the household, or if dad says, you know what, I need to stop working for a period of time and focus on my family, and I've got the money to replace my wages and I can do that. And there is no other method sometimes that we can allow people to be able to have options. Yeah. Just something, something to think about.
No, it is. No, because this is something that people do need to know. This is something they really do need. Like I said, I know, mm-hmm. I really do believe that people should have life insurance. It's something, and people be like, "Oh, why? I'm not gonna die. I'm not anytime soon." Like, that's not the point. That's not the case. It's just, like you said, it's a tool. It's something to protect you, just in case.
Life exactly. Happens. And let me try, and I want to get in here real quick. Let me try giving you an idea. We all go to the grocery store. Everybody does. Some of you get it delivered now, but we go. If you go down the cleaning aisle and you got glass cleaner and you happen to have fabric softener and, let's pick something else, dish soap. If I try to use dish soap to clean my window, I'm never going to be happy because it's the wrong tool for the job. And if I try to use glass cleaner to soften my clothes, I'm never going to be happy. Well, all of the different tools out there, whether it's a checking account or life insurance, car insurance, it is a credit card, it is a checking account. All of those are tools in your financial life. And as long as you use the tool for the correct application, you're going to be happy with it. But you just can't make the tool, you can't force a tool to do what it was never designed to do.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. This is great. I love this. And who would have known we would have went down this direction? But it just, again, this is why I love to do this podcast, is because I get to put out content where someone might need to hear this. Someone out there might be on the fence about getting life insurance because they feel like, oh, why do I need life insurance? They might just tune into this episode, hear it, and be like, oh, that's why I need life insurance. Oh, great. So that's why I love to do my podcast. You never know who's out there listening.
Yeah. And for those of you, we'll put on the agent hat for a minute. You want to buy insurance before you need it, and you want to buy insurance when you're healthy, because you may not be able to buy it when you are no longer healthy.
Yeah.
And the world changes. I have individuals now that, because of COVID, which is a word I know we are all so very tired of, but COVID has changed many dynamics. And there were individuals that, because of COVID, they were healthy, but because of COVID and some residual issues they are uninsurable at this point. And the insurance companies are not sure when they're going to open those doors, because we really don't have the actuarial statistical data for them to be able to price the products or the risks to know how much they should charge and whether this is going to shorten life expectancies or not. So anytime that you are looking at picking up something, I usually tell individuals, you want to buy something before you need it. Just get it before you need it. You buy groceries before you're going to eat them. Get some of these other things in place before you need them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. This is something I do agree with, and people argue all the time, but I know firsthand what it is to lose a spouse, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
It's devastating.
It is.
I've lost a child. It's devastating. And depending upon the circumstances, it can be very painful. I mean, unfortunately, there are parents who have lost children to very tragic, sometimes murders. I'm thinking of someone in particular. They spent a tremendous amount of time and energy, and they were in that courtroom every day seeking justice, not being paid, no wages or anything else. And if there were not some other resources for the family to get counseling and to do that, that would not have been an option. It did not make it go away. It just made some of the aspects of it, like the finances, easier to deal with. So different reasons. The other thing I would say is that, I work with business owners. And that, what you'll see if you're watching the video on the bottom, it has, the website to go and at least get acquainted. We have a lot of opportunities. And I know with business owners, you want to build profits. And when we build profits, it affects what we can do at home and all of our other things. So it doesn't matter whether you're a W-2 individual or you are an entrepreneur like WIZE. If you are a business owner, there's always a way out there that you can improve your situation financially, emotionally, skill set, if you are willing to invest a little bit in yourself. Always.
Yeah. And that's something. When I got furloughed last year and we was getting that extra money, that's exactly what I did. I invested in programs. I invested in books that I wanted to read and equipment, but I invested it I felt it was something that, hey, why would I want to go spend this money on clothes or nonsense that I'm gonna wear out and not gonna bring any value to me, when I could invest in courses and equipment and improve something that I love doing.
Now, hey, WIZE, can you tell me a little bit about when you were doing some of that? Did you take that on almost like we'll say a full-time job? So you had an option that you could have played video games. Yeah. Or I'm just saying you could have went golf every day.
It's fun. No, it's funny. It's funny that you brought that up, because I was a big gamer. I always spent more time video gaming and everything. And when I got into podcasting and everything, I completely abandoned my PlayStation. And my wife one day says to me, she goes, I know you're serious about this because you've completely neglected your PlayStation. It's collecting dust over there. She says, I don't see you cut it on, any of that. She says, there's nothing wrong with that. But she says she sees that when I'm podcasting, I'm being so much more creative. I'm doing something creative and I'm doing something that I love to do instead of spending time just playing video games and not getting any benefit from it.
Yeah. And I think they're great. I think, we all need a release. Some of us play I like Upwards on my phone. I fit it in here and there. Got people all over the world. We got a little chat, which is fine. But, it's one of those things. And I didn't realize this. And you're going to we're a little different in ages. But you remember when we played games as kids, as board games, Monopoly, Risk, Candyland,
Yeah. Trouble.
Yahtzee, Trouble,
Yeah.
whatever they were. We all played those games. We had those games ended. The games were designed so that they would have an ending point. Like in Monopoly, you go bankrupt or you set a timer or something, but we had an ending point. And one of the things that it struck me one day about a lot of the gaming and the things that come out now, there is no end. You can never win these games because there is always a higher level. There's always something else you can find in a different room. And so I think the gaming has also changed the mindset a lot in, I will call it the more recent generations, because we were, in a time when you were used to games ending. Now we're in a time where, no, there are additional levels. You could never possibly make it to the end of the game, is my understanding. They're built that way.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's
there's certain games, that just there's like there's no end to them, and then there's ones where they have a story mode, and once you get through the story mode, they have. But like I said, it was something that I spent a lot of hours on.
Mm-hmm.
And when she realized that podcasting really meant more to me, she was behind it 100%. She was like, do that. And she'll be the first one to admit she doesn't listen to me. She downloads my episodes. She'll support me. She'll wear my t-shirts and everything. But she won't listen. She's like, why? I speak to you every day. I don't need to hear you at work.
It's just like, not her. It's not her passion.
No, it's not. And I don't knock her but she supports me 100%.
Well, I don't know. You have to watch her. Maybe one of these days she'll decide she wants her own podcast. And since you've got all the equipment and you've already done the learning curve, hers will be shorter.
But the thing is, she's oh man, she's just like, she's a tax preparer.
Mm-hmm.
She not that long ago, about a year ago, she got certified in preparing immigration paperwork. She has so many. Yeah, she's a notary. She's a jack of all. She's very talented. She's very intelligent. I'm blessed to have someone in my life like her, because she's the one who's like, okay, so since you want to start a podcast, all right, let's start this production company as well. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And it's great to have someone push you. And when you give her idea, when I throw out idea, she's like, okay, that's what you want to do. All right, go ahead, do it. And have someone support you and be like, go ahead, go do. Like, just be that, like that just that push that you need to be like, okay, to have someone to believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It's awesome because yes, it's great to have that, but it's key for you to believe in yourself as well. But when you also have that extra push at home from your spouse, it's even much more greater.
Yeah, and she's got your business back. That's really important. And for those of you who are listening, who are thinking about starting businesses or entrepreneurs, he's fortunate. He's got one in the house. My husband's the same way. He's got me in the house. But you need to hook up with somebody who can help get you started out the right way and get you on the path, because it's really hard to untangle a mess And it usually costs you a lot more money when you've done it wrong. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to pay more money. And if you can avoid
No.
that learning experience, you can get behind in taxes, all kinds of different things. And unfortunately, most of our taxing authorities will not accept the answer of, well, I didn't know, or, well, I thought. We don't care what you think. This is what's written down. This
Yeah.
is the rules that you're supposed to follow. And if you don't know the rules, we'll go engage somebody that knows the rules. So,
Yeah, go pay
don't.
someone to, yeah, go pay someone to, and I'm like I said, I'm blessed to have someone in the house to be like, all right, this is what you need to do. I need this, 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 and this. I'm like, here you go.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. It really is. It makes all the difference in the world. And you also, and with WIZE, because of what he's doing now, he's also building up a podcast community, buddies, people that do the same things, because they have something that they have in common that they can not only talk about, but again, remember that hand up thing I said? Oh, look, hey, WIZE, I got this. This would make it easier. Oh, do this, or I found this resource. And
Yeah.
we all need. There's a real good. I want to say Glenn P. Brooks. Oh, Glenn, I hope I said it right. I think it is Glenn P. Brooks, and he has kind of his tagline, and his is "We all need somebody," and I love it because he's absolutely right. And his branding and some things he has fall underneath. We all need somebody. No, we all need some help. We all need. Oh, Glenn, I'm so sorry. We all need some help. We all need some help. And it's true. It's
It
true.
is. It's absolutely true. You're absolutely right.
It's
Yeah, it's always. I don't. I'm blessed to have an amazing team with me. Like, if I don't know something, they know something, and I'll be the first one to admit I don't know everything. But I
Don't
will
have to.
find some. But I will find someone who does.
And you shouldn't be embarrassed about it. I know when you look at me, if you're looking at the video or you're listening to my voice, I'm going to share something with you. I don't do my own dentistry. There's a reason that I don't do my own dentistry. I don't want to go to school for it. I don't want to try it. I think it's a really bad idea, and it's not what I want to do. So, if you don't do your own dentistry and you don't do your own plumbing, it's okay to engage somebody to do something that they are really good at. And then you go spend your time doing what you're good at. So you're good at interviewing and you're good at this. You don't have to be good at bookwork.
Yeah,
It's okay.
that's someone else's. Yeah, that's someone else's job.
That's someone else's job. That's right.
It is.
And see, I'm looking at, like I said, I don't have a great backdrop today, but I'm looking at your beautiful backdrop. Somebody went out and took amazing pictures. They are all over. And I'm pretty good on my cell phone. I take some pretty awesome pictures with that because I've taken a little bit of classes and had fun with it. But there's all kinds of stuff somebody can be great at. Go do what you're great at.
Listen, it's me podcasting has opened up so many creative avenues for me. I've gotten into photography. I've taken some courses and bought some notes and stuff. But it's something like I said, it's something I feel like me learning cameras and learning all these things has to because I just transitioned to a video podcast. I've been audio since I've started, and then in August I transitioned to video as well. So
Yep.
I'm still, and it was a guest. I had a guest on. They were marketing specialists and everything, and they're like, "So you don't do video?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "You don't do video?" I'm like, "No, I don't do video." They're like, "You really don't?" I was like, "Yes." No, no. I'm like, "No, no, no. I do video. Yes, now I do video."
Now you do
Since
video.
then I've been recording my video, and it's like again, it was, and I knew I needed to start doing video a while ago because that's just extra content. That's just more content for me to put out there.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was I was hurting myself by not being able to having the system, having the StreamYard available and all that. I should have been recording it. I should have. That's me.
But
That's
every five podcasts before this one, you're better. You get
Yeah.
better every time. And I know when you talk about expanding the skills, I enjoy storytelling a little bit as a part of what I do with the examples, and I enjoy writing too. And so when we started out about, my complete life do-over, I have a book. It'll be in the show notes, folks. That is a #1 bestseller, and that was Pack Faith First, Suitcases Second, A Decade of Miracles After 50. Well, that grew me in a different way on being a #1 bestseller. And I have books that I had written before, and I'm re-releasing those and also doing some updated content. So here within a couple of months, if you look on Amazon, I should have 11 more new titles up. We're finishing up some book covers, which is growing me in a different area, because we're going to be doing those, more as a series, and there will be more to come. And when you're talking about content, I think, and for me, a lot of it is what I'll call relevant content. I talk about topics and dealing with individuals and dealing with business owners, and I can talk one-on-one, or I can work with individuals, but you're able on the podcast and with the books and the other things that I'll be doing, I can reach on a higher level. And it is a completely, different endeavor. And when the Pack Faith First book came out and it was taking off, which was an enormous surprise how fast that happened. I don't have a big, James Michener and all these Clive Cussler and all these other, I don't have that kind of an audience. And anyway, it was a deal, but it
Not
also
yet
grew me.
anyway. Not yet
Yeah,
anyway.
did it anyway. And then, because, fear is a liar, and said I couldn't do it. Guess what? I did. And then I got to learn about audiobooks. So, often when you learn something, it'll go. And I already understood about hardcover. I understood about Kindle. I understood about smash words. But then it was like, ooh, I need to learn about audiobooks. And so it's out in audio too.
It's funny that you mentioned audiobooks, because we're releasing, my nephew is releasing a book, and I'm going to do the audio version of it.
Excellent.
And that's something I'm working on as also as doing voiceover work. And it's opened up so many, to me, it's been amazing, because it's opened up so many different opportunities. People will listen to my voice and be like, oh man, you have a radio voice, or have you considered voiceover work? No? Well, you should. I'm like, okay.
You should.
So these are, like I said, these are things that have opened up because of the podcast. These are things I didn't like years ago. I wasn't thinking about doing no voiceover work. I wasn't thinking about doing audio books and all that. And now, look, I'm gonna read I'm gonna do an audio book. I'm starting to do some voiceover work. It's some exciting times.
It is. And you know what? The funny thing is, truthfully, you have no real idea exactly what you're going to be doing a year from now or 5 years from now. Because if I took you 5 years in the past, this probably would not even be on your radar, what you're doing now. No, because, entrepreneurs, because that's what WIZE is, folks. If you listen, WIZE he may be working as, in gaming in certain areas, but he's got entrepreneur in there at heart, and he sees some opportunities. And one thing about an entrepreneur is he'll build on that skill base, like all of you will. But in addition to that, when he sees another opportunity, ooh, that looks good to me, I might try that out. You don't know where he's going to be, because we look back and I see things. Some of you, if you've ever watched Jeopardy, or some of those things, we all knew Alex Trebek was going to die someday. We all knew that. Nobody wanted it, but, do you think that those individuals who have been coming in and doing the hosting spots, and Ken Jennings and some of the others, do you think it was ever on their radar? Well, in approximately 3 years, I'm going to be hosting Jeopardy on a regular basis, and I'm going to have my own game show. And no, but they built on, what they had. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. I'll have to make sure I keep circling back just to see, where you're at. Maybe I'll listen to a History Channel show someday and go, oh, that's Wise's voice. I know it.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe. Yeah, like I said, I'm excited. It's some great opportunities are coming up,
Oh gosh,
and
yes.
I
And
just have to take them.
you had to take him, and I had the privilege of being invited to a group today, and I believe it's going to open some doors where I will have the opportunity to speak on quite a few stages that are going to be more along the profit path for the entrepreneurs. And that's really exciting because I would enjoy that. And with so much that we do now, of course, Wise and I are in very different places, but because of the internet, you can interact with anybody all over the world, and we regularly do now. So it's a very different dynamic than what we had available even 10 years ago. I mean, he could have guests from Australia, Berlin,
Oh, I've had,
Cape Town, Argentina. I mean,
I've
it's
had.
just his audience is unlimited because they don't have to be people in his town anymore. Yeah.
No, I've been blessed. I've had people from Taiwan, from Italy, from India. Uh, um, Clint Adams, he's from Australia. I've had quite a few people from all over the world, so that's
Yeah.
why this has been great because, again, I've been able to learn about other cultures, learn about other places, and find out that even though they're in a different country, a lot of people have still a lot of things are similar.
It's amazing. If you look, people all over the world often have jobs or they're self-employed. Wow. You mean most people have to work in order to pay for their lifestyle? Wow. Isn't that amazing concept? A lot of people have families. Not all families look the same, but they have them. They got friends, they have hobbies, and it doesn't matter what those may be. It may be based on where your geographic location is, but it's amazing, how similar, people can be with very, very different geographic locations and lifestyles. And that was the other thing in building out the company that I have to help entrepreneurs build up their business, make them sellable every day of the year, and lots of different things that go in with that dynamic, is that I had the opportunity in building out the courses and then speaking on stages and doing things that in what I do, currency doesn't matter. It does not matter if you are using, you're using pesos, you're using US dollars, you're using yen. It doesn't matter. The concepts are the same. And the one thing that I need at this point is we need to be English speaking so that we can communicate. Now, maybe at some point I will decide to have those translated into other languages. But really, in order to do this type of thing globally, as long as they're English speaking, monetary unit doesn't mean anything for my audience.
Yeah.
It's the concepts and it's the application and the numbers. So it's very different than, I would say, even when we went to school, where I don't think, at least when I was growing up, if anybody thought of even going outside of the state or the state colleges, the very thought that I would have ever said, I am going to live in the Caribbean, they would have laughed. And it's like, go get a globe. Where is that? Yeah.
Like I'm a Brooklyn kid, and I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna move out the city. Oh, when opportunity came, I moved out. I moved out the city. I moved into Pennsylvania. I moved my family up here. My mom, my brother, my sister, and it was just because the city was just getting crazy at the time. It was just the rent was ridiculous. It was just too much,
Time to
and
go.
yeah, it was just time to go. We
Mm-hmm.
moved up into the Pocono Mountains, a completely different atmosphere from what New York City is, and we love it up here. My brother at first he's my older brother. He was like, I want to go back. I want to go back, and now he goes back to New York City, and he's like, oh, when are we going home? The noise, it's too
Oh,
noisy down here. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like night and day up here. It's so peaceful and I love it. I'm able to, like, I have my window open right now with the recording and you don't hear a peep out there.
Yeah, I get that
And as I
because
say
now
that, a school bus drives by.
there you go. Um, I get that because it's not where I was before is bad. And I happen to be back there right now, that while we're doing this, it is just that my heart doesn't live here anymore. My heart lives in the Caribbean. And
Yeah.
that's where my heart is. And I understand. I come back and I enjoy seeing some of the people. I can pick out changes because it's been a while, but really, my heart says I'm not home. And home has nothing to do with the building that you're living in. It has everything to do with the heart is, where your family is or where your community. So I get it. And, I never really expected to move out of Kansas. I joked about until I was going to retire, and end up on the beach. I will never regret doing it because so many things have happened that would not have occurred if we had not have, really taken that huge leap of faith to move. And I think that's true for most people. In your case where you moved from New York, into Pennsylvania, very, very different dynamic. And you did a life do-over because when you think about life do-over, folks, he had to find a new grocery store. He had to have different people. If he went to church, he had, what about the kids and if they got school? It's just a whole different dynamic when you move to another area as a life do-over. And whether that life do-over is, just a few minutes away or if it is continents away, it's an opportunity. And it depends on how you embrace it. I think you froze. I wonder if we lost you again. We did. Well, you know what? The film is still running, so we're going to keep going. Oh, let's see. We'll believe WIZE is going to come back to us because technology. We all love it when it's working, and we just hate it when it's not. Let's see a little bit more. Oh, if I've got some other words of wisdom to you. One of the other things that I would say that in working with individuals and business owners is sometimes you've got to embrace where you are, and you can go from there. But it's one of those things that you get to make a choice if you're planning on doing that. And when I say you get to make a choice, maybe you're in debt a little more than you want. Okay, so what? It may take you 3 to 7 years to get out of it, but that doesn't mean that you can't. It just means you need to have a plan of some sort. And if you are looking at making some of those changes in your life, it makes a huge difference. And you can have a life do-over. You laughed for a minute, so I kept going. You can have a life do-over. And even if your life do-over doesn't include doing a change in location like WIZE and I have, you can still pick parts of your life and do them over. One of the things that I decided was rather important to me is because, I live in a beautiful place, but I don't always get to enjoy it as much as I want. I'm going to start blocking, and I put it on my calendar for the next 6 months that Friday afternoons at noon is called art and beach time. I am either going to be doing art or I am going to do the beach. And that is a different type of a life do-over because I am making that a part of my life, or I'm making that a change. And for some of you, if you don't do a life do-over because maybe changing locations like WIZE and I have done is not really what you can do, you can still choose, bits and pieces of it. Maybe you want to be a better parent. Maybe, I don't know what it is that's important to you. Maybe you want to learn another skill like WIZE had taken some time and you want to do something else. Okay, well, what are you doing to get there? You have some control over that.
Definitely. And I appreciate you taking over. And now you just let them know. Well, I guess you've done a lot of, but just let them know where exactly they can find you and they can reach you. Because then after this, I'm gonna give my shout outs and then we're out of here.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm going to tell you to look in the show notes because I believe if you're listening to the audio version, you don't have a piece of paper or you're not going to use your phone and something, type it down. But my company where I work with entrepreneurs to build bottom lines and to get businesses sellable every day of the year is called The Secret Profits. And if you go there, you'll be able to download a free digital book. There will be a link in the bottom if you would like to look and get my book that is on Pack Faith First, Suitcases Second, about a life do-over. That'll be in there. You'll also have access to my email and some other resources. And frankly, if you put my name, Amy Rose Herrick, into about any search engine, you cannot help but find me. There's a lot of articles and things I've written and appearances and different things. So I'm pretty easy to find, but just look in the show notes. And now let me plug you. Now, if you have not already subscribed and you are not already listening on a regular basis, I would like you to click that button today, and let's help WIZE build his audience, because he does such a fabulous job. And if you enjoy his show, why don't you do me a favor? Let's double his audience, because I want you to share it with at least 1 to 2 other people and say, hey, you need to be listening, and you guys could double his audience overnight. So why don't we do that for WIZE?
Yes, I would love that. I appreciate that. Thank you. That would be great. People who listen, yes, share with 2 other people.
Share 2 other people.
That's it. 2 other people.
2, just 2.
All right. Thank you. It's been great having you on, Amy. I'm glad I was able to. I'm so glad I met you on Sherry's show. I gotta definitely reach out to her and have her on my show as well. But to Cherie Hardy. She was awesome. Yes, the open roundtable was great. It was a great time with her. But now it is time for shout outs. So I'll let you say goodbye before I start my shout outs. Let's say bye to everybody.
You guys, it's been great. Thank you for taking the time out to listen today. And I wish blessings upon all of you and double of everything in the next year.
Awesome. All right. So now, big shout outs to my Real WIZE fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Appreciate you, baby. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know how your boy WIZE does it. And let's see if I can get the right exit out of here. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at WIZE_B_blunt, Instagram at WIZE_B_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/WIZE76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.